All right. Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 2. Feels good, right?
It feels great.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, missed you guys.
A whole lot has happened this week. I was going to make a joke. I was like, nothing's happened because there's no race on. That couldn't be further from the truth.
Unfortunately.
Last week, we said some very, very nice things about Liam Lawson, I think.
They're still true.
Yeah, and they're still true.
They're still true. I should probably take my watch off. I hear it clinking around.
I don't know if Red Bull necessarily agrees with all the things that we said about Liam Lawson. So for those of us that don't listen to the news, don't pay attention to F1 media, Liam Lawson has now been removed from Red Bull. He's been swapped with Yuki Tsunoda, and he will be taking Yuki's spot back down at V-Carb. So the crazy thing, I think, is 2 races. 2 races is a ridiculously short amount of time to prove yourself in a Formula One car. And I think a lot of what we were saying about, or at least what I was saying about Yuki, how I would be a little bit worried about him being in that Red Bull car, is exactly what happened to Liam. I mean, I think it's going to be much better for his career in the long run that he's back in that V-Carb spot and has an opportunity to show his potential.
Well, he doesn't have any pressure going into Japan. I mean,
I don't know about that.
Really?
I mean, pressure is high. Pressure's
No.
I'm very high for Liam.
Oh, for Liam? Yeah. Oh, to kind of show up.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's one thing to get fired from your job, right? It's another thing
to still be kind of on the team.
To still be there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the guy that's just been removed from your spot, but you still have to show up and perform next week, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on Liam Lawson.
Okay, who's got the harder task?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, it's got to be Yuki, naturally. Yeah. I mean, Yuki's seen 5 drivers try and fail to do exactly what he's about to do.
It's like the Red Bull musical chairs.
It's pretty close to that. It's a terrible song though, whatever song it is. So yeah, that's the big news coming out of this week. We've got Yuki Tsunoda getting his first real Red Bull start in Japan. Is it a coincidence? I think not.
No.
I think not.
There's some strings being pulled behind the scenes for sure.
And it's F1, and there's always strings being pulled. I have a lot of wild speculations I think we'll save for a little bit later about what Yuki's career trajectory might be like and how it relates to certain specific Japanese engine suppliers.
We'll have the conspiracy round at the end of
it. Honestly, wait for the conspiracy segment. Oh my God. That's not supposed to happen.
That's an alarm to get into it.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about our F1 rookies this time around. Now, we obviously didn't get a chance to record before the season started, so we did a little bit of a recap of Australia and of China last week. So this week we're going to do the part that we missed, which is that F1 rookie introduction. This is a huge year for brand new drivers in F1. And I think there's a lot of talent on display. And for guys like Liam Lawson, it's going to be harder and harder to keep their spot in Formula One, even the spot that he just got. So, where do you want to start? Which driver do you think we should start?
I want to save the best for last, or what I think is best for last.
Okay.
In Kimi Antonelli.
Okay.
So let's go Hadjar, since we're talking about Red Bull.
Let's talk about
goals.
Isaac Hadjar.
Which I didn't even know he's a badass.
Yeah. No, Isaac Hadjar's pretty sweet.
F2.
He was second place in F2 last year in 2024. He had a promising F3 career. I'm looking for my notes on him. Here we go. Yes. The French Algerian. So he finished 3rd in the French F4 championship in 2020 and the Formula Asian championship in 2022. He finished in 4th place in F3 in 2022 and then secured the 2nd spot in F2 last year. He is driving for V-Carb opposite of now Liam Lawson. Again, we thought it was Yuki.
Yeah.
So for there to be 2 full season rookies now in the same car, I think that is going to be one hell of a fight between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because both of them are eventually going to be looking to get back into that blue into those blue overalls, and I don't know. We'll see how Yuki does, but I think it's a little early maybe to speculate about what the trajectory of their career is. But I think it's a great opportunity, just like it is for Liam Lawson, for Isaac Hadjar to start in that V-Carb seat and really, get some laps under his belt, get some competition experience before he really goes and swings for the fences. I think he's a good driver so far. I haven't seen a lot from him lately. I'll be honest. I don't pay very close attention to the F2 and F3 championships.
Yeah, neither did I. So I didn't know that he was such a badass until I kind of looked into him, and obviously he's got a good head on his shoulders, because coming from the first race of the season to then China, he had to.
Let's see, where did he end up in China?
11th or something, just outside the points, I thought, or 12th.
Looks like it was. Why can't I find him? Because I'm looking at 2024. We're going to need to cut that. All right. Looks like he landed in 14th place.
Oh, 14th.
Right behind Carlos Sainz.
That was China?
That was China Grand Prix results of 2025. I'll look at Australia, where Isaac Hadjar spun out in the first lap. So, yeah, a little bit. That's the thing I forgot that I knew about Isaac Hadjar, was that he was the guy that screwed up his formation lap.
Formation lap.
So not a great look for both V-Carb drivers right now, starting out. Again, it's been 2 races. The idea that we could even judge the competency of either driver on the grid based off of 2 races is patently ridiculous. And again, has to do with some of Red Bull's decision making, which I don't necessarily understand or agree with. So I'm not even going to pretend to.
Yeah, I thought he did better than that. That's kind of what I was alluding to when I said that he had a good head on his shoulders, because he had that terrible thing happen in Australia and then come back, and I thought he was just outside the points. But I guess technically is outside of the
terrible.
Points. Yeah.
It certainly could be worse. I can't remember where he qualified. I could pull up that information later. But, interesting driver. I think we've got a lot more to see from him.
Yeah.
But let's talk about another driver that a lot of people I don't think know a whole bunch about. Let's talk about Jack Doohan a little bit. Another Australian on the grid, just like Oscar Piastri. He's the son of the 5-time MotoGP world champion, Mick Doohan, and was a runner-up in the F3 championship in 2021. Had a handful of wins in F2, and I know him best as a talking head on F1 TV from last year, because he was an Alpine reserve driver. And whenever there was a race with not a lot going on and they needed another driver's perspective because Jolyon Palmer wasn't doing enough, I guess, they would bring Jack Doohan up and they'd be like, so what's it like as a current F1 driver on the grid? And he'd be like, I kind of don't know. He's been around for a little while. I think he's been an Alpine reserve driver since 2023. And he did have an F1 debut at Abu Dhabi. I don't remember him doing exceptionally well, but I can look at that last year. Again, a lot to see from him. Interesting to see what you can do in an Alpine. It's been a rough drive for people in the past. Pierre Gasly is a great driver. Don't get me wrong. I think he's done exceptionally well with what he's been given. But what are they giving him is the thing. Is Alpine really a competitive team? And as a rookie, it's that sort of toss up. Do you want to be in a competitive team and end up with egg on your face, or do you want to be a rookie driver getting the car under them with a team that is still developing? I feel like there's a lot less pressure on a team like Alpine, on a team like Stake, on a team like V-Carb.
I mean, but where do you stand? Like, what are you gonna? Because you say Gasly's in there. He's been there for how long?
Oh, Gasly. Gasly's probably been with Alpine for 4 years.
Because I think as a rookie, you kind of want someone that's almost a mentor for your lead. And
I think Pierre Gasly would be an exceptional mentor for any young driver, because he too is recently still kind of a young driver. I mean, a lot of these guys are still young drivers. Yeah. He's in that same class of drivers as Ocon, as George Russell, as Charles Leclerc, as Max Verstappen even. Famously had a contentious relationship with his former teammate and French neighbor, Esteban Ocon. One of the things I do really like about Pierre Gasly, and I think a note that would make him an incredibly valuable mentor to a guy like Isaac Hadjar.
Or Doohan.
Oh, yeah, excuse me, Jack Doohan, is that my favorite stat from last year is that Pierre Gasly is the only driver on any team to not cost his team any extra dollars in repairs.
Nice.
So he drove 23 championships, maybe 22, 21 if there was a reserve. I can't remember exactly. But he drove 22, 21 Grand Prix last year, and every single one of them without so much as scratching the car. So I think that's an incredibly valuable statistic. And if you want a driver to imitate anything, that's it.
That's one of them.
I mean, especially a young rookie driver, still, again, getting the car underneath them, getting to grips with what it's like to race at the highest level in the Formula Series.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to mess up cars. Hadjar, unfortunately.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, it's the number one rule, right? Like, they want you to do well. They want you to race your heart out. It's how you keep your job, is by racing your heart out. The way you lose your job is by crashing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how it goes. Do whatever you want. Don't crash, especially not with your teammate. So, I mean, those are, and ideally not in the formation.
There's actually that funny audio call from Hadjar. I'm not sure if it was like F2 or what it was, but he's like yelling into the radio. He's like, "I destroyed the car." I'm gonna have to pull that clip up. Yeah,
that's a really good impression.
It's so funny. Before we move on from Jack, a little quiz for you. Who gave Jack his first kart?
I don't know. Tell me.
Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher? Are you kidding me?
Gave him his first kart.
7-time world champion.
Yeah.
Michael. So that's like, what's the sports analogy? Is that Kobe giving you your first basketball? Is that?
Yeah. I mean. Wow.
Is that Babe Ruth teaching you how to bat? I mean, like, that's crazy. Michael Schumacher is one of the greatest drivers of all time, and is the only reason that Lewis Hamilton hasn't received undisputed GOAT status, is because he's the only other driver in F1 history with 7 world championships.
I just got the chills. Zoom in.
Can we? There's nobody back there. That is really fun trivia. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
I learned it from the round table, the rookie round table.
Oh,
which also reinforced them being so young.
Yeah, the one with Laura Winter. Oh my God, that moment where she's like, "Boys,
boys."
Right.
Yeah. We were talking about how young they were in the last episode.
Yeah,
they are 100%.
It looked like a middle school homeroom. The way they were all bullshitting with it. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I've got these notes in my outline too, and I keep forgetting what these dates are because I don't recognize them as dates of birth. It's all post 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, those are adults with driver's licenses right now. Who actually, I think Kimi Antonelli just got his driver's license. So let's move on to another Formula One rookie. We've talked about Jack Doohan. We've talked about as Isaac Hadjar. We can talk a little bit about Liam Lawson, but I think after last episode, we've talked enough about Liam Lawson. I'll give you a few career highlights.
Actually, we'll keep him and I guess the Red Bull team kind of in a, I don't know, maybe a segment every episode.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it a
We'll call it
lot.
like Red Bull musical chairs, and we'll say, you know, because I mean, Hadjar might even be in that.
Yeah. So let's talk, because I have a few other notes about that. So let's keep moving on our F1 rookies. I want to make sure that we get through all of them and that we get to enjoy their lovely presence. So Liam Lawson, we're going to skip. We're going to talk about him later because we've already talked about him enough in the past. We've talked about Jack Doohan, Isaac Hadjar. Let's talk about Ollie Behrman, probably my favorite rookie on the grid. He's driving for Haas, a team I'm a huge fan of. They did surprisingly well in China. I think a lot of people were impressed with that, and a lot like the Jack Doohan Pierre Gasly combo. I think Esteban Ocon has a lot he can teach to a driver like Ollie Behrman. But I mean, let's start with his introduction to Formula One. His Formula One debut drive was at Jeddah last year. Was that Saudi Arabia?
I did not see that race.
It was the one where Carlos Sainz had just gotten his appendix removed, and so they needed to bring in a rookie driver or a reserve driver. And Ollie Behrman was currently going through the Ferrari Academy with Haas. So they brought him in for that seat, and he put up a monster 9th position finish on his very, very first F1 debut. And fun fact about Ollie Behrman, he's actually the first driver to score points for 2 different teams in his first 2 Grand Prix starts. So he started, he raced for Ferrari in Saudi Arabia, and then I can't remember where. It was towards the end of the season when they tend to swap in a lot of rookies to get, because each team needs to, I think, put 2 rookies out on the track each calendar year. And so they brought him in again for another drive, which was an exceptional idea, and he got into the points for that one as well. I can't remember off the top of my head what that race was. Yeah,
like this got to be a good feeling. I don't know. I didn't go too deep on Ollie. Trying to see what I retained. Yeah.
Oh, it was Azerbaijan that he finished 10th in. And then he was in F2, and he finished 6th in the F2 championship, but he won 4 races, which is still pretty good. Either way, he's an F1 driver now. Let's not worry about his F2 career too much. I think there's a lot of good that's going to come from Ollie Behrman. I think Haas is a pretty solid outfit right now. I know a lot of people tend to push him down. I like an underdog story anyways, but they've been doing surprisingly well, and I want to see Ollie keep doing well with them, because I mean there's really no limit to where he can go. I think as a driver, he's one of those. He's really got the racing gene in him. I think I don't know if if there's a pedigree to his history, like some of the other drivers are. I know it gets a little bit. I want to say nepotistic. Is that the right? Yeah. It gets a little bit like that with F1, and I'm not sure where Ollie Behrman fits into that. But either way, he looks like a born and bred racing driver, and he seems to drive like one. So we'll see. I think there's a lot of good coming from him this season. Let's almost wrap it up. I know you want to get to your favorite, but let's do second to last. Gabriel Bortoleto, another driver.
I like.
I don't know a whole lot about. What do you like about Gabriel?
For one, wait. He's from Brazil, right?
Yeah, the Brazilian. Yep. First Brazilian since Felipe Massa in 2017.
But they're somewhat comparing him to Ayrton Senna. Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's Brazilian. And he's got Senna's logo on his helmet.
That's what it is.
It's hard to be Brazilian and a race car driver and not.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what. There was a couple things. that stood out to me that I'm not remembering.
I mean, the
now.
first thing that stands out to me is he won the F2 championship last year.
Maybe that's what it
And
was.
he won it by a handful of points. I read some other stuff because it was Hadjar that came in second in the F2 championship. And I read a couple things that was like, Hadjar was pretty close behind. He was not that close behind.
Not that
I actually have the standings here. Yeah, it was Gabriel Bortoleto with 214.5 points and Isaac Hadjar with 192. So no disrespect to Hadjar. It was a good showing, but that's a 2 race difference. I mean, if we're talking first to last, it wasn't that close. It could have been a lot closer, but I think he's going to be a great driver again. I don't know a whole lot about him. I've only seen what he's done so far in Australia and China. I'm not familiar. I don't think he scored points in China, did he? Because he DNF'd in Australia.
And he didn't score points in China?
I don't think he scored points in China. Let me check again.
I'm going to start having to keep like some type of Excel sheet on these guys.
Yeah, so he was in 17th place by 1 lap.
Spreadsheet is what I meant to say.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. We could probably stand to be a little bit more prepared on that side of things.
We're trying to get a sponsor from Microsoft, so I said Excel, but any kind of spreadsheet will work.
Google Sheets, is this? We're gonna just talk spreadsheets from now. We'll do tab delimited if it's sorry.
I don't know.
I don't want to go into it. All right, so let's get to who you really want to talk about, Rick. Andrea Kimi Antonelli.
I mean, Italian, which is a huge plus.
Yeah, if you're going to be a Formula One driver, you want to be Italian.
Italian
for sure.
Coming out of Australia, is that what it is? Right?
Coming out of Australia.
I thought he was also coming out of Australia for some reason. No,
I don't know any aspect of Andrea Kimi Antonelli that is Australian. If that is the case, I'd like to know. But I don't know about it.
I thought he was one of.
I mean, his not his F1 debut, but his first start was in Australia, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll have to look. I don't know why I thought I heard that. But yeah, I mean, coming in as a rookie and getting into the points, that's some stuff you see from like Hamilton.
Yeah,
and
getting into the points.
Yeah.
I mean, getting shy of the podium. I mean, by a nose. He was 10 seconds behind George Russell, who finished third at the Australian Grand Prix. And so to be that close to a podium on your first rookie season outing, again, not his very first ever debut. He raced in, again, I think it was Azerbaijan last year, the same race that Ollie Behrman took over for Haas. He did a test in Azerbaijan with Mercedes, and he didn't DNF. I don't know if he got into the points. I do remember him having a pretty gnarly spin in practice session, I know, and I'll need to look back at the race and see exactly how he ended up in that one. But I think more than anything, let's just focus on where they're going. If it's anything like we've seen in the last 2 races, which we know is not the perfect barometer for a racing career, but if it's anything like we've seen in the last 2 races, we know that Andrea Kimi Antonelli has got nowhere to go but up from here. And it sounds like a lot of the hype was warranted.
The hype was I mean, he started. I think this is for real. Again, one of my. There's probably so many things that I've gotten wrong.
We just lie a lot.
Yeah,
we just lie. That's what we do.
Did he skip like F2?
Yeah, he did.
And went straight from like.
He skipped F3.
Or F3.
So he jumped straight from F4 to F2 in 2022, I believe, maybe 2023.
I know he skipped one of them.
I have that note down. Yep. He won the Italian ADAC F4 championship in 22, or Italian and ADAC F4 championship.
You actually have that down. Skipped F3.
Advanced directly into F2 in 2024, where he won the Silverstone sprint race and the feature race in Hungary. It looks like he finished P6 in the championship for F2. Yeah. So another interesting thing where if you went directly off stats alone, you'd be lost in Formula One. because you've got a guy like Gabriel Bortoleto who won the championship by a pretty healthy margin, getting his first start with Stake, another team that is gonna be hard to manage. I mean, it's going to be hard. It's hard to look good in a Stake car right now. Joke one, you tried, didn't do so great. Nico Hulkenberg, I mean, thankfully it was the end of his career. I mean, I know he's got another season in him at least, but how much longer? He's not really fighting for championships at this point. He's getting paid to drive and drive well, because that's what Nico Hulkenberg does. But is Stake F1 Kick Team Sauber a championship winning team? Not right now. But what I have heard is a lot of what Sauber's strategy right now has been focusing on 2026. If you don't know, there's a huge rules change coming up in 2026. Cars are going to be smaller, more nimble. The fuel will be comprised entirely of renewable sources. So there's a lot of interesting things going into the rule changes that will change the way teams build cars, the way drivers drive cars, and the way Formula One Grand Prix are driven, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I did hear some musings that they were going to try and bring back V10s. I don't think it's going to happen.
I heard about that.
I don't think it's going to happen. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't hate seeing it, but I don't think it's going to happen. With the direction that F1 has been going in, it would be a huge U-turn for them to go with a more, I don't want to say more powerful engine, but a less modern engine, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, V10s are still modern, but a lot of what the benefit of Formula One using the hybrid engine model has been is that ideally that technology trickles down and goes into the consumer market. That's a lot of what Formula One
supposed to be.
Yeah, kinda. I think that's why they're still viable. In many ways.
Yeah, because they talked about, I'm going to keep saying I heard about the I guess now, like the Formula E, and how they could potentially merge in the future because of that, because of consumer cars being more electric and not seeing electric cars in Formula One, which they're hybrids, so I guess they're actually going to be getting closer to 50-50 in the coming years. But I know that there either will be maybe some races where there is Formula E racing with Formula One, and I mean, I don't even know what you would call that race, but
I have a lot of opinions about that. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of electric cars, solely electric cars to begin with. I think a hybrid engine makes more sense economically, ecologically. I think there's a lot more functionality to a hybrid car, so I kind of cringe.
Aesthetically.
I cringe at the idea of Formula E merging with Formula One. I think getting rid of a combustible engine would be a huge loss for racing as we know it, especially at the level of F1.
It's like a silent disco.
God.
No one likes those.
No one likes the silent disco, or like one of those like 8 a.m. sort of totally sober raves that people go to. I'm like, can you, please just do something, literally anything else. Don't invite me to that ever. All right. So we've kind of gone through all of our rookie drivers this season, right?
Yeah. I mean,
is there anything else you wanted to talk about with your man Kimmy?
I mean, there was some facts that I will remember maybe for next episode.
Okay, great. We'll have to brush up.
Before we move on, though, who's your rookie? Who are you gonna?
My rookie
to look out for you.
My rookie's Behrman.
Behrman.
Yeah, I've been watching Behrman since he did that race for Ferrari. Because I think that was like the 9th race on the calendar, and I think he just did such an excellent job as a rookie competing with some very, very talented, very, very experienced Formula One drivers, and if he can do that well, if he can just get into the points each time, I don't see any reason why his star should be fading anytime soon.
All right. I mean, you guys know who mine is. So
that'll be the battle between us is who out of the rookies who wins the rookie championship, because we're gonna make up our own rookie championship. Yeah. If I'm gonna put it at I'm gonna say it's Ollie Behrman. I kind of lean more towards Kimi Antonelli if I had to be a reasonable, pragmatic bettor, but I'm a gambler and I'm gonna go all in on Ollie Behrman. That's my boy.
We'll find out.
All right. We also did want to talk a little bit about, because of all this stuff going on with Yuki and Liam, it's not much of a secret that Yuki's position in Formula One is backed heavily by Honda.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's been at VCARB all this time makes a lot of sense, as VCARB, previously AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso, whichever one, and Red Bull, the parent team or sister team, however they like to call it. I think parent team.
Brother.
Master. Whatever it is. With their contract with Honda ending in 2022, it left a little bit of uncertainty for a driver like Yuki Tsunoda, who the word that I've always understood is that Honda's partnership with Red Bull was heavily predicated on a Japanese driver being on one of those teams. Now, I think there's maybe like one or two other Japanese drivers in F2 and F3 that would even be eligible for that spot. But so far, I mean, as far as I know, Yuki's been the best one of all of them, and has been in Formula One now is he going on his 6th season? Something like that?
Definitely a while.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I can say that for sure.
5th season? I'm not entirely sure. And he's been with the Red Bull Junior team for that time. Again, now that he's got his shot here at Red Bull, we'll see how it goes. But what I'm curious about, beyond how he does here with Red Bull, with this whole engine supplier thing changing over next year, because this is the last year Honda will be an engine supplier for Red Bull. Next year it's going to be Red Bull Powertrains in parentheses Ford or something like that. So this is the last year that Red Bull will have their engine supplied by Honda. What happens to Yuki?
Aston Martin.
You think Aston Martin? Because that's what that's what I think. So Honda's going to Aston Martin in 2026. They're going to be their engine supplier. Does Honda force that deal on Aston Martin? Is it a deal that Aston Martin even wants to take?
He doesn't stay at Red Bull.
You don't think he stays at Red Bull?
I don't think he stays at Red Bull.
I mean, I think if he does exceptionally well, they might try and keep him, because I don't know what their driver class looks like beyond that. They've got Liam Lawson, they've got Isaac Hadjar, and whoever's in F2 and F3 right now, we need to take a look.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Why would you get rid of a consistent driver like Yuki Tsunoda?
Uninformed, I would say they're going to be starting almost new.
You think they're going to develop from the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming in with the new engines and
I mean, again,
new cars and
new season, new regulations.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot shaking up next year. I think that's why I'm so glad we started this podcast this year.
Yeah.
Is because this season's going to be interesting. I think next season's going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So I have some other
I actually might jump to
notes.
Cadillac.
Oh yeah.
2026, because
I want to know who's driving for Cadillac in 2026.
Sainz is like,
they've talked to Perez too.
Perez.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see Checo Perez come back into F1 and absolutely dominate in a Cadillac. That would be awesome. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm gonna put that out there right now. I don't think
Perez.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see that.
I'd love to see it. I love a Mexican driver.
Yeah.
All right. So beyond Red Bull ending their contract with Honda and moving with Ford for next year, I have some other notes about engine suppliers coming in next year. Mercedes is going to supply its own team like they currently do, along with McLaren and Williams. Renault will continue to supply Alpine. Honda is going to return to Formula One. Technically, they're not in Formula One right now with their contract negotiation. I'm not entirely sure the way it's set up, but there is no Honda racing
No.
as of right now. It ended in 2022, but they have still continued to supply power units to Red Bull power trains,
Yep.
and then be fit by Red Bull. So they are returning, so to speak, to Aston Martin next year, which is going to be interesting. I have a lot of thoughts about Aston Martin. They're kind of like, despite being the James Bond car, they are the specter of like evil organizations. They all look like Bond villains. I mean, it's Lance Stroll, Lawrence Stroll, and Fernando Alonso. It's like, it's the three probably most hated people in Formula One, I think, that are like their key principles, like the driver and the CEO. So it's, I don't know, it's a little weird. I kind of love them, but I also really I like it. I like when Aston Martin does well, and I especially like it when Fernando Alonso does well in an
sure.
Aston Martin.
Absolutely. I like that guy.
But I love Fernando Alonso. Aston Martin's a weird one. So that's the other thing with me is if Yuki does end up going to Aston Martin, who does he replace? Does he replace Alonso or does he replace Stroll?
Oh, not Stroll.
Yeah,
I
there's
guess.
no way he's replacing Stroll. But
sorry, Alonso.
you're gonna kick out a two-time world champion who.
I mean, how's his season been though?
How's his last 10 seasons
Yeah.
been? He has not won a race since 2013, I think. 12 years.
Sorry, Alonso.
He has not won a race in 12 years. He's put up some really good races in that 12 years. He did really well at Monaco last year, if I remember correctly. I've always loved watching Fernando Alonso drive. I think he's an incredible driver, and you've got to be scared shitless when you see Fernando Alonso in your mirrors. Lance Stroll, not so much. He's doing surprisingly well this time around, but we'll see. With Honda engines and maybe a Yuki Tsunoda in the cockpit, we'll see what Aston Martin does next year. We also have some new entrants coming in as engine suppliers next year. We've got Audi, who's going to be coming in as a works team, taking over Stake F1 Sauber. So they'll be supplying their own engines as the Sauber team, and then Red Bull Powertrains, who we've talked about, is going to partner with Ford, and the company will be rebranded to Red Bull Ford Powertrains. Real creative stuff they do with these guys. And they'll be the engine supplier for Red Bull and the Racing Bulls RB.
Yeah.
Did I say who was I don't know if
Ferrari.
Ferrari's got their own engines.
Ferrari is
will
going to be
continue supplying engines for them and Haas. Is
Yep.
Ferrari doing Cadillac's engines?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't
that's
realize that. Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, that'll be interesting. All right, that's kind of what I had for engine suppliers. I think there's a lot more in there that we could kind of dig up. I'd like to investigate that a little bit more thoroughly. But speaking of investigations, let's recap. Let's correct some of
our last episodes.
Yeah, well, let's not make any corrections. We're not
here to set the record straight.
What we are here to do, we're here to answer questions. We're here to learn. We're here to learn together.
Yeah.
At
least I'm here to learn for sure.
I'm also here to learn. I'm just pretending like I already know. So you asked last week.
About the driver changes.
Rick had a few questions last week. I had a few questions last week, or at least answers I couldn't provide immediately. So I went back, I did a little bit of research, flexed some brain muscles, and came up with a few answers. So, Rick, you asked last week, can you have more than 2 drivers in a season?
And the answer is?
The answer is yes, absolutely. Yep. Each competitor, according to the FIA regulations, can field up to 4 drivers. So I highlighted this section from the FIA regulations that says section 32.1, during a championship, each competitor will be permitted to use a maximum of 4 drivers in races. So what this technically means, if I'm reading the rules correctly, and this could be a pipe dream for Lawson fans out there, I don't want to get too much hope up, but I do want to point out what it technically means, is that
musical chairs.
Yeah, this may not be the end of Liam Lawson at VCARB. This could be, it really could be, depending on how these races go. Again, it's been 2 races into the calendar. We are not even at Japan yet. This could mean that Yuki and Liam get swapped again at some point in this season, or Hadjar, or somebody. But they can swap as many times as they want between throughout the championship. They can only field a maximum of 4. What they do with those 4 is entirely up to them.
Yeah, as long as it's, I guess the team? I don't know. I thought it had to be okayed by someone.
It does have to be okayed by scrutineering and the race stewards. So as long as the race stewards okay it, and there's not a significant reason for them not to do it, they're good to go. And they have to have at least 1 practice session, and that practice session includes qualifying. So as long as they are in their seat by qualifying of the Grand Prix that weekend, they can race in that Grand Prix and score points for their team and for themselves independently. So again, they can field a maximum of 4 drivers, and that's 1 team. Mind you, Red Bull is 2 teams. So technically, if I'm understanding everything correctly, which would be a miracle, Red Bull and Racing Bulls could swap back and forth any one of their 8 drivers that they potentially could field.
So we're talking about, there's a large game of possible musical chairs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I keep going back to that because it is going to be one of our segments.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the way Christian Horner looks at horses. It's the way he looks at...
If you've watched Drive to Survive.
Sorry, I was just buying a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, prick.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud? I'd love to meet you, Christian. You seem like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I hope your horses are doing well.
Yeah, he walks by the paddock like it's what is it?
He just goes up to shh, shh.
What's the? I lost the word. A stable.
Yeah. Paddocks are stables, and they're interchangeable. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely. I don't like Christian Horner in Drive to Survive. I don't know if it's because he's being more fake for the cameras, or if he's actually being himself. Either way, yeah. He's he is what he is.
Beautiful,
what he is.
Beautiful home.
Beautiful horses.
I mean,
yeah. No,
you can invite me. I'm
dude,
there.
I'm the one talking shit. Take Rick. Yeah. Have him over for tea. He'll love it. Well. Yes. Okay. So
driver swaps.
So yes, you can have more than 2 drivers in a season. So whether it's Yuki, whether it's Liam, Red Bull has at least 1 more driver they can field if they wanted to. So that's interesting.
So I wasn't wrong. I was uninformed.
Yeah. And so we were also talking about Kimi Antonelli today because he had an incredible Formula One debut. Again, not his official debut, but a pretty good first race for his first full season. So I did want to know, what was the best Formula One debut? Can you guess?
I mean, I want to say Hamilton.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
The best Formula One debut, as far as I can find from recent statistics, is Lewis Hamilton's 2007 Australian Grand Prix. I actually watched highlights of this race recently. It was pretty cool to watch because the F2 race prior to it, in which he goes from 18th place to 8th place, a little bit like Max Verstappen's race in Brazil. It was a monster drive, very cool. And so he's driving behind Fernando Alonso in his very first Grand Prix. It is 2007. It's Australia. It's his first official F1 start with McLaren. And
that's something I didn't know. He came up through the junior.
Yep, absolutely. And there was a lot of contention at that time too. And I think it's probably what makes Fernando Alonso a villain, is because Lewis Hamilton gets his career start with McLaren, starts with McLaren the same year that Fernando Alonso starts with McLaren, because he had come from Renault, where he had won his first 2 world championships and was now in this new McLaren team as a champion. Where Lewis Hamilton came from was the McLaren junior teams. Yeah. He worked his way up. He met people. He worked with engineers. He developed. He grew with this team for 5 years before he ever got into an F1 car. Fernando Alonso walks into McLaren, a 2-time world champion. There's going to be wildly different perspectives and behaviors with your teammates in that kind of scenario. And the way that Lewis Hamilton performs that season is unbelievable. Not quite making the championship, but narrowly missing it. And he finished P3 in his first ever F1 race. Very, very impressive. I looked for a few others to see if there were any notable ones. There were that now escape me. There was one driver. I want to say his name was Baghetti, but I might be just being racist.
Yeah, for sure, Italian.
that could just be racism. I think his name was Baghetti though, who won his first Grand Prix, but that was like in 1950 something.
I think I heard that.
And there was the Formula One Grand Prix champion, or the Formula One championship back then, was not what it is today. So I'm not sure the stats carry over, but to fans of Signor Baghetti, great job to him.
Yeah.
No Lewis Hamilton, but still a fantastic job.
We're gonna see that from Antonelli for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think Antonelli's going to be the hero of the season. And we had a question about Formula One meteorology. Do Formula One teams employ their own meteorologists? No, unfortunately they don't. They do, however, maintain some staff members to analyze and receive and interpret data that comes from an Austrian company called Ubimet. And Ubimet contracts directly with the FIA to provide weather forecasting for all Formula One races and other sporting events around the world. So if you are about to host a national, global sporting event, check out Ubimet.
Ubimet.
Yeah, Ubimet.
Ubimet. You saying that they have people that interpret the weather, that's another thing that I've seen.
Yeah.
That there is a huge team off-site doing the algorithms of the race to then report back to the team on the track.
All the data gathering, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like a small call center. So, I mean,
they said it's about like 10% of the people are at the track and everybody else
absolutely. Yeah, could you imagine working for a Formula One team and then never going to a race?
That would be so sad.
Be awful. I mean, it's probably what happens to whatever graphic designer is.
That would be.
Yeah. At least give the graphic designer some tickets.
Imagine that. I don't even want to imagine it. Never mind. I almost went into a scenario that I didn't want to go down.
It was getting dark, folks.
Yeah.
It was getting dark.
So I work for a F1 team.
Yeah.
Oh, yes? I've never seen a race before.
Yeah. Nope. You also asked, can drivers speak to each other during the race? I was pretty sure they could not, and I was correct. They cannot. Only engineers and team principals may speak to the individual drivers during the race. And then I have another note here about going into disqualification regulations because of Ferrari at China, both getting disqualified.
Ooh, talking about that, let's not forget to talk about Lewis Hamilton's first win with Ferrari.
Oh, the sprint race in China?
I mean, I know we
definitely talked about it. No, Brad's giving us crap.
Slightly covered it.
Lewis Hamilton won the sprint race in China. He did a great job. We love Lewis Hamilton.
First race
He's
with
the best.
Ferrari.
Yeah, first race with Ferrari. No, I was very excited to see it. It wasn't. Australia would be his first race, but the first sprint race.
First win with Ferrari, I guess is what I meant to say.
First win with Ferrari. It's an asterisk because it's a sprint race.
Yeah.
And you don't have to rely on Ferrari strategy in a sprint race, which is kind of probably why he won.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, there's no pit stops. So there's no pit stop strategy. There's no tire changes. There's no tire strategy. You just have to bolt on the right tires to start with and race. And that's what Hamilton does well. Honestly,
I thought they did one stop.
No stops in the sprint race.
Oh, that was the race.
They don't have to.
No, that was the race. This is the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, at least one stop.
Yeah.
In every Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But in the sprint race, no stops is ideal. It's like 17 laps for the sprint race.
And he was in pole position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was in pole position.
He had it won at the beginning.
Sewed up and buttoned. It was delivered on a platter, the way it should have been, and the way the Chinese Grand Prix should have been as well.
But only a true champion could have done.
Ham it up for Brad. You're just trying to get points.
I'm hamming it up for Hamilton.
Do we have any other questions? Yeah, so we were going to talk about disqualifications and Parc Fermé regulations. That is like a whole 3-part episode. I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm not gonna talk out my ass. I do enough of that already.
I can.
Yeah, tell me all about it, Rick. Let's see. Anything else that we want to go over before Japan?
No.
Anything we want to talk to the folks about?
No, I think we go straight into Japan because it's going to be on.
Yeah, guys, I'm super stoked for Japan. I cannot wait. We got a few things coming up. I know both of us are working on some art pieces that we'll probably share with you guys in the near future. Ideally, some prints that you can either purchase or share online.
Or just download.
Download for free and make them your wallpaper. I don't care what you do with them. We're just doing it for fun because we like this stuff.
And you might see me with the Yuki shirt.
Yeah, we got to get this guy a Yuki shirt. He's been begging me all week for it, and I said, you know what? once we get a few podcasts in, I'll start dedicating some budget for apparel. Now, what else we got going on? Our Instagram should be live here pretty soon. We have all of the stuff that we need. So if you haven't liked and followed us yet, please do.
What is
it's going to be, you can follow us on Instagram at HalfSeriousF1, and that's going to be the same thing for the YouTube. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions,
send them over.
You can either direct message us on Instagram, or you can email us at halfserious@f1@gmail.com. One more time because I messed it up. It's halfserious@gmail.com. So please reach out, guys.
Please reach out.
If you're listening to this, we want to hear from you.
Yeah,
absolutely. This is in no way designed to be me and Rick talking at a wall for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
I would do this with you any day as long as I want.
We do it.
Yeah, we do this already. So please join the conversation. We're going to try and get a little bit more interactive.
Yeah.
One thing I am going to try and do before the race starts on Sunday is I'm going to put up my own F1 24 Japanese Grand Prix hot lap. And I'm going to record it for you guys. We'll put it up on the Instagram. And if anybody wants to challenge the big dog, you take it to the porch.
Yeah. Rookie of the year, Mike.
Rookie. I'm going to be bean shot that week at least.
So yeah, reach out. Everything goes directly to Brad, so.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us here at Half Serious F1. Once again, we're at the lovely Zito's here in San Antonio.
Don't forget to visit.
Please.
Did we do our intro?
I don't know if we did no.
No.
We're doing an outro.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Peace.
Bye.